Imagine standing at the entrance of an ancient harbor, waves gently lapping against your feet, and before you rises a figure so massive, so awe-inspiring, that it nearly defies belief. This is the Colossus of Rhodes, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. A monument so grand, its shadow stretched across centuries, even though it stood for only a few decades. The story of the Colossus begins not with a statue, but with a battle. In 305 before Common Era, the small island of Rhodes found itself under siege by one of the most powerful military forces of the Hellenistic world, Demetrius I of Macedon, known as the Besieger. His army came with ships, catapults, and over 40,000 men. The city's defenses were tested to the limit. But against all odds, the Rhodians repelled the invaders, turning what seemed like certain defeat into a stunning victory. Flushed with triumph and pride, the people of Rhodes wanted to commemorate their unlikely success. What better way to honor their patron god, Helios, the sun god, than by constructing a statue in his image? But not just any statue. They envisioned something that would echo across the ages. Something colossal. Construction began around 292 before Common Era. The task was entrusted to a local sculptor named Chares of Lindos, a student of the famous Lysippos. The process would take 12 long years. Using iron and bronze, Chares and his team worked tirelessly to mold the god Helios into a towering figure said to stand over 100 feet tall. That's roughly the height of the Statue of Liberty from feet to crown. Legends claim the Colossus straddled the harbor, with ships sailing between its legs. But historians today doubt this was possible with the engineering limits of the time. More likely, it stood beside the harbor entrance, looking out over the sea, a beacon of resilience and divine favor. The Colossus of Rhodes was not just a statue, it was a symbol. A message to the world that Rhodes stood strong, that it was protected by the gods, and that it belonged among the greatest cities of the ancient world. Its bronze plates shimmered in the sunlight, casting long shadows on the stone docks and azure waters below. Sailors arriving at the harbor would look up in awe, as if greeted by a titan. But how exactly was such a feat accomplished over 2,000 years ago? The construction was a marvel of ingenuity. First, workers built a massive stone framework as the inner skeleton. Then, iron beams were laid across it for support. Finally, bronze plates were hammered into shape and attached like armor. The bronze came from melted-down weapons left behind by Demetrius' defeated army, a poetic transformation of instruments of war into a monument of peace. To reach such heights, the builders used massive earthen ramps and scaffolding that rose alongside the statue. As each layer was completed, the ramps were raised, allowing work to continue upward. This method meant the Colossus wasn't built in separate parts and assembled, it was constructed from the ground up, piece by piece. And yet, despite all this brilliance, the Colossus was not to last. In 226 before Common Era, just 56 years after it was completed, a violent earthquake struck Rhodes. Buildings collapsed. Temples fell. And the mighty Colossus snapped at the knees, crumbling into the harbor in a cascade of bronze and dust. The island was devastated, and though Egypt offered to help rebuild it, the Rhodians refused. An oracle warned that the gods were angry. Helios did not approve of the statue. Superstition prevailed over pride. For nearly 900 years, the ruins of the Colossus lay scattered by the harbor, still drawing wonder from travelers. Even in pieces, it inspired awe. Ancient historians like Pliny the Elder wrote that few people could wrap their arms around its fallen thumb. For centuries, the fallen Colossus remained untouched, its massive limbs and broken head lying where they had crashed. Travelers from distant lands came to Rhodes just to see the ruins, to stand beside what remained of the wonder and imagine what once towered above. Even in ruin, the Colossus had power. It evoked the sublime, the tragic beauty of impermanence. But history moved on, and so did fate. In 654 CE, Rhodes was invaded by Arab forces under the command of Muawiyah I, the Umayyad Caliph. The island fell, and the remains of the Colossus, by now green with age and corrosion, were finally taken away. According to legend, the bronze was melted down and sold to a Jewish merchant from Edessa, who supposedly transported the metal on 900 camels. Whether or not this tale is true, the fact remains: the Colossus was gone. Scrapped. Erased. Its disappearance only added to its mystique. Without physical evidence, the lines between history and legend blurred. Was it truly as tall as reported? Did it actually straddle the harbor, or was that just a later embellishment? No one could say for sure. What was certain, though, was its legacy. The idea of the Colossus lived on, inspiring countless works of art, literature, and even modern engineering. When French sculptor Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi designed the Statue of Liberty, he cited the Colossus as a direct influence. Lady Liberty, with her raised torch and gaze over the water, became a modern echo of Helios of Rhodes. Today, the idea of rebuilding the Colossus occasionally resurfaces. In recent years, there have been proposals to construct a new, modern version, a tribute not only to ancient artistry but also to global unity. Such projects have stirred debate. Should we recreate what once was, or let the past remain sacred and untouchable? Colossus of Rhodes still capture our imagination. Maybe it's the sheer scale of the ambition. To build a statue of such size and symbolism, with ancient tools and methods, speaks volumes about human determination. It wasn't just about honoring a god, it was about telling the world, we are here. We endured. We are powerful. That message resonates even today. Or maybe it's the sense of mystery. No one alive has seen the Colossus with their own eyes. No sketches survived. No fragments remain in museums. All we have are written descriptions and the echoes of awe passed down through generations. This absence leaves space for the imagination to fill in the blanks, to picture what it must have looked like, how it must have felt to stand in its shadow. And then, of course, there's the deeper symbolism. The Colossus fell, not to war or betrayal, but to nature. An earthquake, a reminder that even the mightiest monuments are vulnerable, that nothing made by human hands is truly eternal. And yet, through stories, it did become eternal. Its memory outlived its metal and stone. It also invites us to reflect on the meaning of wonder itself. The 7 wonders of the ancient world weren't just tourist attractions. They were expressions of what ancient civilizations valued: beauty, power, devotion, skill. The Colossus was one of the few that represented all of these at once. It was beautiful. It was colossal. It was divine. Today, visitors still walk the harbor where it once stood. They run their fingers across ancient stones, look out over the water, and ask the same question that has haunted historians for centuries. Where exactly did it stand? Scholars debate whether its feet were planted at the harbor entrance or further inland. Some believe it faced the rising sun, others that it looked toward the city. No one knows for sure. And perhaps that's the magic. The Colossus doesn't belong to one place anymore. It belongs to the collective imagination of humanity. As the sun sets over the Aegean Sea, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, it's easy to imagine the Colossus standing tall once more, basking in the light of the very god it was meant to honor. Though its form is lost to time, the Colossus of Rhodes remains one of history's most powerful symbols, of resilience, of human achievement, and of the fleeting nature of greatness. Its fall, while tragic, also reminds us of a vital truth, that impermanence does not erase importance. The Colossus may be gone, but it changed the world. It sparked imaginations, challenged builders, and became a beacon of identity for the people of Rhodes. Its story has traveled farther than the statue ever stood, echoing across cultures, languages, and centuries. Even today, the island carries traces of that legacy. The culture of Rhodes is steeped in history: ancient temples, medieval walls, sun-warmed streets still echoing with myth. Every stone has a story. Every shadow could be the footprint of a god. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real wonder. Not the statue itself, but the lasting imprint it left behind. Because what we choose to remember, what we pass down, becomes part of who we are. The Colossus stood for only 56 years, but it has lived for over 2 millennia in the collective memory of humankind. So, the next time you hear of a monument rising in some far-off land, a statue, a tower, a temple, remember the Colossus. Remember that behind every stone and sculpture is a story, a people, a purpose, and perhaps, a dream so bold it defies the limits of time.